All right, let's talk Pittsburgh Steelers. We know it's a frustrating time for you Steelers fans, and this Pittsburgh team needs to make some big moves to bring some change to the Steel City. And we've got a report that the Pittsburgh Steelers are actually preparing a massive offer, planning to make a big offer to add a big time playmaker to the Steelers squad to hopefully return them back to championship level excellence. Exciting news for you guys. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Steelers have become the literal embodiment of the NFL of above average, but not really good and certainly not great. And part of the reason why is a severe lack of playmakers, certainly on the offensive side of the ball. They need elite talent, and it looks like the Steelers are preparing to make a big move to do just that. Let's pull up this report here, courtesy of Sporting News. According to Andrew Filipponi of 93.7 The Fan, the Steelers love T Higgins and would be willing to give him more than they were willing to pay Brandon Ayuk in a trade last summer. More in all caps. That must mean something. Could mean as much as 30 million bucks a year. That's an investment. Stay tuned, Filipponi wrote. Higgins played the 2024 campaign on the franchise tag, and the speculation has been that the Bengals won't bring him back in 2025. We all know the Steelers were very actively trying to trade for 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, and they were going to give up draft capital and give Ayuk a lot of money. So we know there's a definite demand inside the Steelers organization to get another playmaker. T. Higgins being available, even though he's from the rival Bengals, I don't think the Omar Khan and company is even considering that. I think they're preparing to roll out a massive amount of dollars to get Higgins in the building, which they should. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this. But first, Steelers fans, your turn in the comment section below. How would you grade a hypothetical acquisition of current Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins? Would you give it an A plus? You think it'd be great? F, you hate it? C, wait and see. Grade a hypothetical acquisition of T. Higgins for us in the comment section below. Miles, give us your thoughts on this potentially game-changing. I mean, it would absolutely just world-changing deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and I think this is what Steelers fans have been waiting for. They need to make a splash. We've seen people's washed up seconds. We've seen, guys come through here. We've never seen them really go out and grab someone when they're truly at the top of their game in free agency. This is the last time I can remember them doing this is something like when they got Minka Fitzpatrick and brought him in. I believe he was at the Dolphins at the time when they brought him in. And we saw how much of a game changer he was when they brought him into this defense. I think that's what T. Higgins does to the offensive side of the ball for this team. It brings me back to the era of, when it was, Antonio Brown's here and, Juju Smith-Schuster's there. You got the one, you got the two. That's when Steelers offense has been the best. You have Pickens. Pickens is pretty good. Pickens also has his issues as well. They're off the field issues when sometimes those off the field issues happen on the field. But Pickens, talent-wise, very, very good. I think you bring in a guy like T. Higgins, probably as talented, if not maybe even a little more proven than George Pickens, but he doesn't seem to have those, temper tantrums, the flare-ups, the everything that comes with having a athlete like George Pickens. I think that a guy like T. Higgins is really great and would allow Pickens or Higgins to really just thrive more. We see what Jamar Chase does with T. Higgins. I think that allows one of them to open up the game. I don't know who's going to come into that number one. I would imagine you invest the money into Higgins. You're probably going to highlight him more. And then you don't have to feel like you're stuck with Pickens. If Pickens doesn't turn it around, it gives you the opportunity to be able to move off of him if you go get a guy like Higgins. So I think this move could really do a couple different things for the Steelers. Allow them to not be tied to one guy. They think the offense run through Pickens right now. You get a great option here. Someone you can invest for the future. I think this will be a really huge move for the Steelers going forward, and I'm excited to hear they're finally starting to get aggressive, make these moves, uncharacteristic stuff, but to get out of this rut the Steelers have been in, they really need to do some uncharacteristic things.
I agree. That last sentence you said is really important. Change is needed for the Steelers. You need to bring in some new juice. You need to change the way you think, change the way you approach things. The Pittsburgh Steelers can be very similar right now, just in terms of affect, to their kind of NFC counterpart, the Dallas Cowboys, in which case neither franchise has done anything really of any merit in the last decade or so. A lot of winning in the regular season for both franchises, a lot of disappointment where it matters most. And at least the Dallas Cowboys, whether you like what they've done this offseason so far or not, at least they changed something. They changed their head coach, redid their coaching staff. We'll see what happens there. The Steelers, after that Ravens debacle, decided, we're going to keep everything the same. And when that happened, it's It's got to be frustrating for you Steelers fans out there to sit there and say, what is going to change? You bring a monster deal in with T Higgins, that's a symbol of change. I can honestly not remember the last time the Steelers paid elite high level dollars, acquired a top flight offensive skill maker. Would it be Jerome Bettis in the 1990s? Is that the last one? There's got to be someone I'm missing, but I thought about it for a long time and I just, no, he's a mid-level guy. No, he was a cheap veteran, and all these guys are homegrown. It's like there's not been a real instance where the Steelers just really doled out a lot of dollars for a big-time offensive skill player. Now, look, maybe I'm missing someone. Maybe there's someone obvious, but I think it hasn't happened in a while. And if it has happened, I'm missing one guy. Then it's been few and far between. Going all in with the dollars for Higgins would send a message. Change is coming. The Steelers are going to be aggressive. They're going to make the roster significantly bigger. I think it's a great sign that they're preparing a big offer, at least reportedly. And if you look at their cap structure, they've got some wiggle room, right? They're north of $40 million in cap space, which sounds good. But then you remember their top two quarterbacks, Wilson, Fields, aren't on the roster. So at least half of that's going to the quarterback position, most likely, which means to bring Higgins into the fold, you're going to have to change and adjust the contract or restructure some things some other ways. All very doable, all very plausible. Not, the long and short of it here is nothing cap-wise is preventing the Steelers from acquiring T Higgins. I think they do it, and it would be a perfect example of change finally coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers.